Hey everyone, Skoggul here. And as this game's loading up that I want to talk about Misfortune and her kit. One, her movement speed, based off her passive, is awesome. You can get around the map, you can give longer leashes, you can come out later. She's very unique in that sense. And so I'm going to start recording this game, but I might do it pretty slow. I want to talk about Misfortune for a second. So we decide that because Misfortune is really strong in a spot. Like does some of the highest burst early game, and with her passive and everything that's available, she just has a really nice kit for doing damage. So I asked my team if we could steal their red. Be like, we know Amumu is going to start blue. They might not even defend their red. Can we take it? And my team agrees to it, so we're going to run over there. Urgot's responding slow, but I have little fear that we're going to be caught in the jungle because Amumu likes to go blue, and it depends on what entrance we use, but no one's really guarding it. I'm gonna hit the F1 button, but Misfortune's Q harasses off the back minions as you're farming them. Her W makes farming really, really easy on her, and her ER combo locks them in place and bursts them down with your ultimate. So you just do a lot of damage in a hurry. Gangplank has a global ult, Karthus has a global ult. I feel very confident with my pick here, and this is the situation you want it. Where you don't want it is when they have huge gap closers and they can't do anything. But against Soraka Tristana, it's basically they're only really strong very, very early, and Olaf tells me here, just take the red yourself, and so that's kind of cool. He's going to be like that, so got a feeling this is going to be a good game. And we have a support Urgot. I didn't know about it when said it, but you know what? He plays very well as a support Urgot, and I am very okay with it. That's why I don't like to question people just because they say something. I don't want to call them dumb. I don't want to say that's stupid. I don't want to say it's not viable. So here, get the red steal, and that's going to really slow Amumu down. And Amumu's pretty struggles early, and he does some great things later, but if you can take away his early game, you do really well. I almost always start with my W on Misfortune so I can get a really good creep score right off the bat. So Olaf's generous enough to give that to me. And here Urgot should have stayed and leashed blue. He doesn't, and they try to get this gank off on Jax, but Jax is smart enough to try to get away with his Q. And I run through the lane, level up, and all I'm going to do is just double up onto Evelyn, make it a little harder for her. And Urgot doesn't give a leash, which I think he was sticking around until that gank. He probably should have just gone with them to gank and then leash, but I don't think he really was quite ready for what was happening. And so Olaf doesn't get the best leash. He's a little behind, but I'm ridiculously far ahead. Red buff, level 2. Urgot's coming. I know that this is going to be a pretty good lane for me. I mean, I don't miss very much here, so fortunately for me, I took it. I mean, if I didn't take the red, I'd be a little behind, but I still think it would be worth it just to take the pressure off of getting that pressure down off of Amumu getting super far ahead in the jungle is huge. And so try to use your Q to harass as often as you can. And I'm going to let Urgot do his share of exchanging, and I'm going to do mine. And so here, Tristana wants to play, but it's not very difficult to go against this with the red buff. That red buff is huge on an AD carry early in the game. That's possibly bigger than a mid getting blue buff to start. So speed up the gameplay a little bit. My main point in this game is I want to outfarm them. I want to outgold them by a lot. And this Tristana is not farming well. And the red buff ticks away, gives me an easy, easy kill. And that's mostly, I don't know that I played it anything special. It was more or less just that red buff and what it does. So he just teleports back in, and we're able to just keep the pressure up. One big thing here, Amumu's pretty low, so all we need is the one ward, and we don't really have to worry about it, because there goes Gangplank killing Amumu top. Olaf is over in the mid lane, and we just don't need any help bottom. There goes my red buff, but it really doesn't matter. So I'm trying to keep the pressure up as high as I can, winning by 11 CS, and part of that is just Urgot and his ability to trade with them so that I have a really nice time in this lane. I'm not really farming my best game, but this is more or less an AD carry game where I just roam all over the place. And so we know the timer on their red buff is right at 7 minutes because we took it. They don't for sure know their timer, though they should if they're thinking about it. And so here, Gangplank ults. So I respond immediately by going in, and that's a quick kill. And that was all set up by Olaf, or by Gangplank. Great play by Gangplank. That is how you gank bottom from the top lane, and I'm just going to let the tower push this out a little bit. Did a little bit of farm, so 30 to 12 on the CS, and I'm already at 2-0-0. So this couldn't go much better. I have the one ward out, and with Olaf in their jungle, I really have no fear that they're coming for me. So that's kind of why I'm playing this aggressive, the red buff steal, and take advantage of Amumu while he's in the early game, because you can't take advantage of him if you let him get out of his early game. The only time to abuse Amumu is early, because after that he does a very good job of just being the super tank that he is. And so here we're going to really go for this next red buff steal. I see Amumu in the ward, kind of hoping he does come out, but we didn't want to do anything foolish and give up our lead, so that's why I don't. So, gonna base. Want to keep the pressure on. Tristana is just having a hell of a bad time this game. Kind of feel bad running the lane with that red buff. So I get my BF sword and get some potions, and I'm calling that the red buff's about to spawn, so I asked my team to invade it. Because, one, we might get a fight. Two, I mean, his blue buff spawning, he's going to be way more worried about that than getting his red buff. And at this point, we want Gangplank to take it so that he can snowball a little better. And so Gangplank steals the red buff. Here, we catch old Amumu trying to defend his buff. Not a great idea. I'm going to counter jungle as best I can. He can have his little wraith. I'm not that worried about it. And I'm telling Urgot to farm it up. And our Karthus gets killed, but gets the kill in return. So I decide I'm going to really make them pay and keep this push to their tower for their troubles. And quick little kill there on Soraka, because she left the vicinity of the tower. Just real quick, this is what I love about Misfortune. So I farm really well with her. The numbers are all sorts of messed up, so I'm actually going to close that tab. Don't know why that just happened. But my skill order is Q, and then to max it before anything else if I can. And so what's going to happen here is let's get to the point where Soraka wants to defend the tower. And Urgot as a support is able to hold that lane just fine. He's able to farm a little bit. And here I'm going to land my double up. And then she's out too far, so there goes my ult. There's not a whole lot she can do. It clears the wave to push back to the tower. Gets me a lot of farm. So that's pretty much what you can do, and you have your E, make it rain, to slow them so they can't run out of it. That's pretty much your combo you want to catch them in. Is in the middle of an ER combo. There's not a lot they can do. So Tristana's just overextended. For being way behind, you can't be that close to them being able to flash. If they can flash and kill you, they will. That's pretty much the thing here. And if you can get your team to be aggressive with you, it's really hard for the other team to manage a coordinated aggression. If your team doesn't back you up, though, it's going to go really ugly on you really fast, and you'll be the reason you lose. So here I have no ward, so the basic rule is stop and dance. But no, your basic rule without a ward is don't be out too far by yourself. So Olaf is just super generous. He appreciates that I'm playing well, gives me the red buff. And at this point, they're actually saying in chat they're going to surrender at 20 minutes. So my opinion is that we just have to push and try to take as much of this game as we can. If they're going to surrender, I want to take it in under 20 minutes. So we're going to try to do that. It is actually why I do get myself killed, being super aggressive. And just so easy to get those kills with that ultimate. Her ultimate is probably just one of the strongest ults in this game, I think. The burst of it, just too high. Evelyn catches Olaf out trying to get their blue. And Urgot goes and owns them, which I'm just trying to get the towers, and I actually probably cost my Urgot there. I feel kind of bad, but I'm going to be able to pass this blue buff off to Karthus. So we come out pretty ahead there. I wanted to get the tower down. I don't. I'm lower than I want to be, but also I only see Soraka, and that's just not scary. You can see even caught by Tristana and Soraka, it's an easy escape. Urgot's here, so I'm hoping he can land a swap. So, see if the gold's messed up. I hope not. No, the gold's fine. So I'm at 4,700. Our Gangplank's 4,200, and 2,300 on Tristana. So I know that's not the only indicator, and part of that was just my team and this Olaf playing a little bit unselfishly and allowing his team to be the carries. Especially an Olaf jungle who can basically carry by himself. And even though I got silenced, it wasn't until after we had already gotten most of that damage out. So here's our big push. We basically know we have 5.5 minutes to win this game, and we're going to go group up. And that's kind of what you can do as roaming. You can see my Q and my W. My E is my last. I only really use it to slow to land people into my ult. My item build is Infinity Edge and Boots. I mean, that's not necessarily always, but in this game, I didn't feel like they could do anything to stop that. And Amumu thinks he can basically dive into us. That's not a good idea. Tristana goes behind us. That's not a good idea. And the push is on. We're just trying to get this down as low as we can. Jax comes in. He gets himself killed. So basically, we're just smashing him so hard at this point that we're not that worried about it. Evelyn comes, another kill. Sadly, I feel like I have to base. Just the no mana, half health isn't the best scenario for me to be in. Gangplank is going to go get Dragon, and basically I finished my W. My E is my complete last thing, and this is glitched because I have more items than gold points. My gold froze. Yeah, this is glitchy. Don't look at the gold. It's not correct. Oh, that's the minions. Gold is correct still. So I'm at 6,800. Sitting at 606, and we're just trying to push. So I want to go mid. I want to make sure we can get into their base if we can. I want to kill it in 3 minutes, but I don't think that's going to happen. And between me and Olaf and Gangplank ult, we're pretty good there. And again, trying to get this tower is my priority. And we're just blowing people up. There goes Amumu. There goes there. And I don't base even though I'm at low life because no one's up. Jax spawns and I know he'll jump right on me and I'm dead. Basically, I think if Karthus had come mid with us, we could have got him before 20 minutes, but he didn't, and I definitely do need to heal. And they're able to kill Gangplank, but we get Jax. So basically, if Karthus comes mid, we can do this, but he doesn't. And just for kicks, we decided, hey, it's going to be almost impossible to finish the game in 45 seconds. Let's Baron. And no one really comes. Hoping for the red buff steal. Catch out Amumu. And we know this game's over in about 20 seconds, so I get myself killed because, yeah, we basically know that they're going to surrender and get too aggressive. I basically would have played that safer or gone and collected the buffs or whatever, but we knew that was about it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this game. Here comes the surrender vote any second. I swear I don't respawn. Maybe I do. Seem like they want it to be done. So here's the surrender vote, and thank you for watching. Alright, I want to talk about that Misfortune game. That Misfortune game featured Gangplank, Global Ult, Karthus, Global Ult, Olaf in the jungle, who played very unselfishly, and most importantly, we discussed and champion select, and they picked Amumu. Our counter strategy was going to be to take his red as often as we could, and no, blue is the ideal one, but their team fight, they didn't really want to get
My team didn't have the balls to say, hey, let's go invade their blue and kill him over and over. They were like, that may or may not go well. But you know what will go well? Setting him back by taking his red buff. That's a decent amount of experience stolen away. That any early game gank pressure is pretty much down unless we make a big mistake. So that was the strategy. That's what we went with. And we followed up. We all went there. We ganked top afterwards. And even though we didn't kill Jax, we set Jax back. Gangplank had a significant advantage as he had to burn a potion or two because of that gank. Olaf was a little bit behind, but Amumu was way behind. And it was okay for Olaf. He made it back. He's a man. He's a Viking. So we knew that Olaf could deal with some early attrition, and that would really set back Amumu. That was our strategy. We followed up at 7 minutes. We went back. We knew the spawn would come. It doesn't randomly come up at 7 minutes. It comes up at 7 minutes. So we had committed to it, and I ran all the way from bottom lane across. And it happened to be at a time where Karthus and Evelyn traded kills, and I was able to put a lot of pressure on the mid tower in return and get some of the farm and experience I might have lost by running across. That was lucky, but honestly, I would have counter-jungled that Wraith camp once we had killed Amumu, and I probably would have tried to gank mid. I don't know if it would have worked, but I would put pressure there, and if we forced him to back and Karthus was up, we may have taken that tower in response. So it worked out for us. We got the kills. Giving the AD carry the red buff early is barely game-changing. Strategies to do this with would be, say, take Nunu support, your Q. They won't really see it coming if you're purple side. You go steal the red buff if they have a guy who starts blue buff. If they have a guy who starts red buff, that could be very risky, but Nunu can tank that for the AD carry as long as he takes his Q. It's an interesting strategy, but it's one that can be done, and you can always not take your Q until you get in position to see if it's going to work. If they're doing golems, they won't even see you. Most people don't check their red buff, so you can pretty much steal that and snowball a game off of that right there. AD carry with red buff early is just OP. So that was our strategy, was to play aggressive, push him, and once Amumu was behind, I was able to pressure my lane like crazy. And the reason I can do that is, what's Amumu going to do about it? He's behind. I'm not worried about it. I can always make it rain and dodge. All I have to do is dodge his bandage toss and make it rain, and he's never going to get to me. He's never going to catch me. I'll just walk away from him if he comes. So it's somewhat scary if you do that, but I mean, that Urgot support was a very adventurous idea. We tried it. I let him do it. I agreed to it, and it worked like a charm. And when I was roaming, he was able to hold the lane and get the farm because he was good at it with that champion. And honestly, his harass made that lane easy. He could lock on with his corrosive charge while I was farming and just focus on just landing that and then just shoot them backwards. They can't fight that. It's hard to fight Urgot if he has no responsibility other than to make your life hell. So bravo for the pick. You could learn it. A lot of people might get mad at you for it, but they really shouldn't. I've been playing a lot of support Annie, and it's crazy your kill potential in lane. Just awesome support. So that was the thing. One of my things I'm trying to teach people that I'm working with is pick a goal to start a game. I don't care where you're at in your skill level. If you're good, you're bad, you're really good, whatever. You can always improve something. So pick a goal. Is my goal to invade their jungle, to own their red buff, to make Amumu's life hell while still keeping up in my lane? Then that's your goal. Go do it. See how you did. Did you fail? Where'd you fail? What went wrong? What went well? Go back in the next game. Try to improve on that. Anyhow, hope you enjoyed this game overall, and good luck to you in all your matches.